It's the Playhouse Podcast with Kat and JJ.
Can't believe it. I missed everything.
Miss the show?
What am I going to do?
Check out the Daily Podcast.
So it's kind of a popular term right now, sleep divorce. You're not sleeping with your mate, your partner, because of one reason or another. We asked how many people are doing this, and is your life actually getting better because of it? Earlier in the show, Wednesday. Amazing how many people are getting through life, and this is just a way of life. If you missed it during the live show, you're going to catch it in the podcast. Coming up in seconds. Here we go. Bingo time.
Bingo. How fun.
Last week, someone lost an eye at bingo.
Bingo.
Bingo what bingo?
Bingo.
Bingo. All right, time for listener bingo. It's easily my favorite part of the show because we're going to get an amazing story from you, I hope, because you're somebody listening who
has buried a pet on your property, which I feel you should do because that's where they lived. You don't need to go and cremate them. If they die, natural causes, just dig a hole. That's what we used to do, you know. And
do you disclose that if you're going to sell your house? Like
there is no reason. There's no reason. It's
so
not
you're
like
putting in a new sprinkler system and you find Rufus.
Well, it would just be bones at that point.
Maybe.
But this woman, she's talking about how her husband just tried so hard to resuscitate their dying cat, ended up dying, so they knew what to do with her.
I get a phone call. It is Joe Dirt. She said, you need to come home. You need to come home quick. Dad is resuscitating mouth to mouth with a cat right now in the backyard. You got to get home. You got to get home quick. I said, I looked at my friend. I said, drop your flops. We got to go. I started wailing in the backyard to the point the neighbors came out to see what had happened. And here I am holding a cat while my husband digs a 6-foot hole in the backyard. I hope whoever lives there now knows that's a sacred place in the backyard.
Dug that deep of a grave for a cat?
That's a lot of sweat.
You ever dug a 6-foot hole?
I won't need to.
I don't think you'd make it.
So anyway, you have a pet buried on your property.
I'm on the look for anyone listening who is packing heat.
Okay.
Like right now, you are armed for whatever reason. Lindsay, you got a gun on you right now?
Oh, no.
Oh, you
Not
got the pet in the backyard.
It's a pet story.
All right, give it to us. What do you got?
Okay, all right. So in full honesty, it happened to my friend but this is such a weird story that I just had to call in. So I worked with her at the post office, and she told me the story that they were building a new house, and so they wanted to dig up their pet and bring it with them to bring to their new home.
Jesus.
Oh, wow.
And so, but they had so it was kind of crazy. It was a dog. And so she said that they had put it in a Rubbermaid tote.
Of course.
And so to bury it. And this was like 15 years ago. No, this was just 3 years ago, but the dog was buried for 15 years. And so they dug up the Rubbermaid tote and they opened it up and it was still furry. It was completely preserved. You could still see the blood on the furry skin, sort of seeping through. And she was so flabbergasted. And then she called her vet. And so the vet was like, I need to see this because this is the craziest thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
So then she actually brought it for the vet to check it out because it was literally, but they had duct taped it around. Made it airtight. So basically it was impossible for anything to get deteriorated. So it was completely intact. I was like, that is the worst idea. I would never bury a pet in a Rubbermaid.
What was the smell like? Did she describe that it was terrible or?
I don't remember her even saying that there was a smell. I think it probably would have. I think it probably would have been pretty bad.
A couple of things here. Number one, when that pet is gone, I understand it's not by law, you got to be put in a coffin or in a case or anything like that. I could care less when my body is gone. Throw me in the ground or in a lake or something. I don't really honestly care. But they love this dog so much that number one, they Rubbermaided it, they duct taped it up, and then number two, they wanted to transpose a dead dog's carcass from one property to another. I'm getting all this right?
You're correct.
Okay, and what's wrong with these people? Are they a little off center?
No, I get why they wanted to do that. Obviously, it was a member of the family, and you just want to take it.
Okay,
with.
so let's just say your mom passes away, Kat, right? You put her in a beautiful grave. You got a nice headstone. If you move to Hawaii, you're not bringing her with.
No, I wouldn't bring her with. But if I'm moving down. No, I wouldn't bring her with. It's a human. There are different rules for humans.
No, it's the same thing. It's
not. I hear my father-in-law, they have a horse farm, and back in the day, if a horse died, he'd just dig with his machinery a huge hole, and he would nudge it in.
And if they moved to another farm, they weren't bringing that dead horse with them.
No, but I'm saying there are different rules for pets, and And it's an easy process.
Lindsay,
to
you
dig
need a
one up
different
and bring
friend
it.
group. You have to eliminate this friend from your life right now because this is honestly ludicrous. It is so crazy. I'm glad you shared with us.
It is ludicrous. Completely. I just was like, this is crazy. I mean, and I know it's not my pet, but I was like, this is the wildest story I've ever heard.
No, it qualifies.
So I got to call it.
Oh, but on a completely unrelated note, I just got an email that we're going to get an endorsement for Rubbermaid because it's such a good quality product. So great
Heck
job.
yeah,
He's saying its praises for sure.
Thanks, Lindsay. I hope you have a great day today. I appreciate you sharing with us. Hi, Allie. Beat that.
Well, I don't know if I can, but I'm definitely packing heat.
All right.
Ooh, okay.
What you got on? You got a Glock?
No, I have a Kimber 1911 Sapphire Edition. She's very sexy.
How many inches is that?
It's about 7, I would say.
So this is personal protection or this is for work?
Personal protection.
Okay. How long have you had your conceal?
About 5 years.
Ever had to use it?
No.
Did
Thankfully
something
not.
make you feel like you needed it? You know, sometimes someone will go through something and they're like, no, I need to protect myself.
Yeah, did
now.
something happen that you felt like you had to do this, or the world is just crazy enough where you're like, I'm not going to get caught, empty pocketed?
It was a little of both. Once I started, once I got nephews and, all the stuff that happens in schools and I was bringing them to school, I wanted to have it on me. But no, there is a couple incidences where crazy ex-boyfriends, I've got held at gunpoint at a certain time.
Holy crap.
No way.
Do you put yourself back into that scenario, and if you had that on your hip when you got held at gunpoint, would have you used it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you've turned that corner mentally where if your life is in danger, you would be willing to take another life.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I got you. And how often do you go out and practice? Last question.
About 3 times a week.
Oh, wow. So you're shooting all the time.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
And what's its name? You got to have a name for it, right?
No, she's just my pretty Kimber.
Okay, pretty Kimber. We'll go with that. All right.
How many cavities have you had?
In my entire life?
Yeah.
A dozen. I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I guess I haven't counted since I was a little kid.
Don't you only have 2 dozen teeth?
28. 26.
And you've had, somebody that is so obsessed with their teeth, you've had that many
I used to get them in my molars. I used to drink a lot of soda. I would always have a Diet Pepsi or a Diet Coke before school.
Oh, that'll do it.
And I probably wasn't flossing enough as a little kid. But as an adult, probably since I was out of college, probably 2.
Wow. I win. I've only had 2 in my whole life.
Some people are really, really blessed with their hygiene or their dental hygiene, where I have friends that are like, I don't floss ever. I run through I brush, I floss, I water pick, I Listerine, and I feel like they still creep in every once in a while. But some people will be like, I've never flossed my entire life, never had a cavity.
Yeah, I had a cleanup yesterday, so that was nice. And then they send you a little text. Truth be told, we love our patients. Hope you had a great visit. That's funny.
So,
truth be told,
the last time I was at the dentist, and my dentist is a friend of ours. Our kids had played ball and hockey for a long time, and she just talks with her hygienist like I'm not there.
Yeah.
Because they're very comfortable with me. And they told me about a place where they go for a chicken fry. Mm-hmm. And the conversations I just sat there and listened to.
Yeah.
So I left this big Google review on her business page about how I went in there and Dr. Sarah told me about a chicken fry. I had nothing to do with the dentistry whatsoever. And it blew up. They just got so many hits. And then I think eventually, at first, I think she was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to leave that up there. Yeah. But people were commenting on it and stuff like that. But when you find a dentist, it doesn't become a thing anymore. It's just I'm going to go in, they're going to give me a quick clean, and then it's good to go. So for me, as a younger man, it was always, we're the hottest hygienists. Mm-hmm. And now it's who's going to get me in and out of there the quickest?
Yeah. Well, my dentist sat down. He's like, cold in here, huh? And I was like instantly thought he was talking about what.
He was just actually commenting on the temperature.
But I had that bib over and I'm like, no, he was just it was freezing in that office yesterday.
That's a bold move for a dentist to walk in and comment on your jugs.
But he's so nice and sweet. So he obviously did not mean to say it like that, but then went into how he played Battleship with his kid, and his kid, won but shouldn't have won. I want to teach him a lesson. You can't always win things in life. And then he'll grab my tongue with that cloth square and check both sides while expecting me to answer a question. I'm like, every time.
I had I was living and doing radio in Duluth, Minnesota, and I had my wife and I were just barely married. And for whatever reason, we probably didn't shop dentists. It might have been the only one on our health plan. But this guy was an old Air Force veteran that did not really believe in Novocaine because he was just a tough guy.
Yeah.
And so I remember him drilling out a cavity once, or kind of getting in there, and he'd be like, "Does that hurt?" I'm like, I'm squirming. Like, I was sweating. Like when your lower back gets the sweats in the dentist chair. I had that going on. And I'm like, no, it's fine, right? Like you want to be a tough guy like he is. But it took me like 30 seconds to get out of there and find another dentist. I was immediately looking for somebody else. This guy was like a torture rack.
Scary.
Yeah, no bueno. Let's do a quick survey. How many adult cavities have you had? Like, just start at like
Tell
18.
the tooth.
Real quick. Yeah, tell us the tooth.
Now, I know that you love to pick on people that are not like you. You like to call
like
people losers for eating alone. And I guess you're not alone.
Okay, I used to be so nervous about like eating out alone, but I just came here and got a chicken sandwich all on my own and I don't care. Judge me, judge me.
Loser. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
When I heard that audio, I'm like, oh my God, there are more people like this man out there.
Like today, I'm in a situation where I've got to leave work and I've got to go to a ball game relatively soon afterwards. I will maybe do a drive-through, or I will go get some food and eat it in my truck, but I will not.
Are you going to be parked while you're eating?
Yeah, likely.
Okay.
But probably in the parking lot, or also bring it into the game before us and watch that while I'm eating, but I will not eat at a restaurant alone. I just won't do it.
Well,
I just can't. I can't imagine.
I feel more
alone.
losery when I sit in my car in the back of a parking lot and eat it that way. I like to be comfortable. I like to have stuff laid out. And if I have to, like in your position, go from one place to the next, but I have time to like a half-hour window to eat, I will go in somewhere and eat.
Get a table for one and sit there and have a waiter or waitress come up to you, be like, what would you like to drink?
Not at a restaurant, like if I went to Arby's maybe and went inside and got a sandwich, got some horsey sauce.
With the plate at the booth by yourself, though?
I would rather do that than sit in my car. And I can no longer sit at Quick Trip because you have people out there that are looking for me.
My favorite is just getting a random text on like a Thursday at like 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Kat's at this gas station eating by herself. And I'm like,
funny.
dang, it's almost as bad as when people see you on your recumbent bike.
I've done that once. But I did go to a Quick Trip the other day after Liam's track, and it was like set up for people to dine there.
I know they want people to eat there because they'll eat more. But I don't mind grabbing a chicken sandwich and eating it on the run, but I will not just sit there. I'd be curious how many people are listening right now that are going to eat lunch at a restaurant alone. And I'm talking like sit down, you go in, they take your order, not you go up to a counter, but like they come to you, they bring you a glass of water, they ask you if you'd like anything to drink, you order a soda or a beer or something like that.
What's the difference between going to somewhere like that and eating alone and then going to a coffee shop and being alone at a coffee shop?
I won't do that either.
You wouldn't ever go and sit at a coffee shop with like your phone? And
Nope. I've done that. I've been in that position where when both of our boys were playing hockey, we'd have tournaments in Rochester and Ely. And I'd have to go with one of them, and Trish would go with the other. And I would go, and if I was going to hit up a Caribou or a Starbucks or something, I'd grab my cup of coffee, and off I go. I would rather sit in the parking lot waiting for the game to start by myself, listening to the radio, than sit there by myself and have everyone look in and go, boy, I got no friends.
God, I love people watching. I don't know what it is.
I don't mind that either, but if I see someone by themselves, I go,
yeah, people watch alone in your car.
Loser.
God. Fight the urge. If you feel like you want to yell loser at someone you don't know
yell it at them, but I judge the hell out of them.
Don't do it. Let us be us.
And if Trish dies before I do,
which will not happen.
No, it's not. Not even a chance. I'm going
her.
soon. Oh my God. This is the craziest. So my daughter in her internship this summer, she's in a physical therapy internship. And one of the trainers that she's working with knows my son who works at St. John's. And she's like, he's like, I can't go 5 minutes without seeing someone from your family. And then he goes, is your dad going to die soon?
Oh, geez.
And she's like, I hope not. And then my daughter was telling me this last night. She goes, but I did have to pause, Dad, because you've had a little bit of a rough life. Like, when do you think you're going to die? I'm like, I think I got probably 30 years left on the miles, on the tread. And she's like, you think you're going to live for another 30 years? And I go, what do you think? How unhealthy do you think I am?
So my mom laying next to me at the pool the other day, she goes, I got about 15 in me. And I go, you got to be more specific. She said years. And I said, 15 years? You only give yourself until 75? She goes, oh, yeah, most definitely.
So what's the average lifespan for a woman?
Her mom died of heart disease.
Okay.
Her biological mom. And her biological dad is still around.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you go in and get checked now, the heart disease doesn't creep up on you. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going in and getting your annuals and you're seeing somebody because you have a medical history, they should be able to figure that out. They can do things to help you not end up in the same way that your parents did when medicine sucked.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well,
would you consider, if your husband was is he still wear the sleep thing?
No, he has been really good. So he's lost some weight.
Yeah, I noticed.
And he has cut out all energy drinks. And you can tell he's ready for bed at a normal time.
Oh, good.
And he listens to his body, goes back to bed after I leave for work. So he doesn't need it anymore. It's kind of like if you do work on your body, that stuff goes away.
So let's just say he was still snoring really, really bad and he didn't want to do the sleep apnea thing. Would you ever consider, and this is such a buzz term right now, but consider a sleep divorce?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. And we did that for a while when we had our guest room bed, which I just bought a new one for this weekend. But he would go down there if it got too out of control. He'd go down there.
So he'd go down. You wouldn't necessarily.
I don't leave my bed.
So I'm and I have to leave our bed. Every once in a while, my wife, I don't know why, but she got in this kick where she would have to go to sleep either watching the TV in our room, which is, it's like being in Times Square. It's so bright. That LED TV is so bright to the point where I had to get one of those sleep masks just to block the light out of my eyes. But then, because she's half deaf, it's got to be turned up so freaking loud that I can't go to sleep.
You got to get her those headphones, that Bluetooth, like my father-in-law has.
I should. But then she got to the point where she would just watch something on Netflix on her phone with her AirPods in. But I'm like, you are missing out on hours of sleep if you don't shut it down. And sometimes I'll roll over and her AirPod will fall out and it'll be right next to my head. So I hear reruns of Sex in the City and I see the light still flashing on the ceiling.
Yeah.
So there's been a few nights where I'll just go into our guest room and I'll sleep that off. And she's like, no, I want to be in the same bed as you and everything. And I'm like, but I only get 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get a solid 4 hours. So have you been in a situation where you're in a sleep divorce, right? Still love that person, but you just can't sleep in the same room as them. This is such a buzz term right now. And I want to know how your relationship is doing if you're in a sleep divorce. Will you call us? Imagine the person you love the most is laying right next to you and it's 1 a.m. and you hear... Would you be okay with having a sleep divorce? If Derek was a snorer like that, you'd be okay. But you're very, very clear about the fact that he is moving rooms or to the couch. You're not moving.
It's always been the understanding. Even if he's the sick one, he'll go somewhere else. But it just, my friend Dana had done it with her husband and it worked out really well. And then they finally came back into the same room and I don't know. I haven't touched base with her since then, but she's like, yeah, we each kind of had our own room. And then in the morning, they'd meet up in the bathroom sometimes. And like, what a great start to your day. One, you had an awesome night's sleep. And two, you got a nice send off for work, you know? So.
Hey, Katie, I appreciate you calling the show. You're in a sleep divorce right now, huh?
Oh, yeah. I've been sleep divorced for a good, I don't know, maybe 2 years now.
Holy cow.
And the thing is, my husband is a terrible, terrible snorer. So it just works better. If not, I get zero sleep. So during the week, you know, we just sleep in separate bedrooms and it works fine. And but on the weekends, you know, we schedule some, you know, quality time.
Okay.
So that's probably the only time we sleep together is on the weekends when we have our quality time. But other than that, I need my own space.
And you know, anybody that's getting married sometime soon, just know that scheduling is going to be a thing. You'll have to schedule certain things, but
you feel life is better though, sleeping on opposite ends of the house?
Yeah, it feels like, we can be ourselves and we can actually, like, how do you feel when you don't get sleep? You're miserable, right?
Yes.
So we get along better when we're sleeping. He sleeps his way, I sleep my way, and it just works out best for our relationship. Everyone's different, but at least for us, it works out great.
I have always been a big believer of that whole sleeping in separate rooms if everyone's going to wake up happy the next day.
Yeah, I mean, you need your recovery. I get it. I'm glad it's working for you. Thanks for chiming in today.
Yeah.
Anything fun happening in your life yesterday?
I just had a lot of meetings, but then picked Liam up, and he has done so well in school this year. He has a half day today, and then they're done. He's going to go home with a friend. And then
a half day is ridiculous.
It's pointless.
Why?
Thank you. I don't know, but they're going to go back to his house, and then that family is throwing kind of like a little end of the year soiree. But they just purchased land, and so they're going to bring their RV out there for the bathroom. And then just do a little bonfire tonight as if we need more fire and smoke in the air. But I mean, I looked up at the sky and it was blue.
Better today. It'll be better
today. It smells less campfire-y, but we're going to go out there and have some s'mores and root beer floats. So that's going to be fun. And today, going to bring my dad to the VA to get his toenails clipped. So they have the consistency of almost like tree bark. And so
something you can't do at home, huh?
No, nothing.
Not going to tackle that?
Nope.
I got a grinder.
Not doing it. It truly is the scene from Dumb and Dumber when they're in the hotel. That's what it's like watching. But the podiatrist, big fan of the show. So just want to say thank you for what you do. And those toenails flying at your face, rapid fire. Very quick. So they know their stuff. But love going to the VA with my dad. It's just kind of like that quality time. Such nice people there. And then he wants to go get a burger.
Sure.
The man is 90% burger. And then...
Is it a Culver special? Is that what he wants?
I don't know where he wants to go. Well, we have a place in town that he doesn't get to because it's only native here. So we're going to bring him there. And then he needs a new summer wardrobe. So I'm going to take him to Old Navy because I keep getting emails that all men's clothes are 50% off. That's where my life is today. That's what I'm up to. So... Can you beat that?
I can't top that other than another day at the ballpark. That's going to be my deal. It's fun. My daughter, she has a couple of friends that play football at St. John's, and they've moved into the loft above our garage. And so, like, we've got new people around all the time. So, like, last night I come home, and I'm like, who's that guy? And who's that guy? And it's very, very weird that that they're so polite. I'm not used to that from that generation. Like, I tried to raise my son and my daughter that way, but these guys are just over the top. Every time I come in, hey, JJ, how are you? Nice handshake and everything like that. And they're just the coolest guys. So having a little fresh blood in the house is always good.
We've got email.
I want to thank Carolyn for sending in this email. You want to get to it here real quick?
Yes, it says, hey, Playhouse, I got into it with my sister the other day. I went to pick up my nieces for the weekend, and she was going through all their clothes that her oldest went through for the school year. She had one pile for a consignment store, and the other pile was for her younger daughter to wear for next year. These hand-me-downs, they had some rips, they had a few stains on them, and she loves being frugal, but I remember how I felt when I had to wear her hand-me-downs, and they definitely didn't look new. She got new clothes. I never did. If they are close to basically looking new, then okay. I just told her that she needs to take her youngest shopping for 4 new outfits in the fall, and she just rolled her eyes. Am I being dramatic? Carolyn, you're not being dramatic. I had a friend in high school, and she was the youngest of 4, some brothers and a sister, and she had to wear all 3 of their clothes no matter what. Like, her parents, they didn't have a lot of money, but they were like, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. And I remember some of the days, there were some rips and there was some stains in her stuff, and that can't feel good. I remember you just drip some coffee on your shirt and you feel just kind of like off kilter for the day. You're like, I don't look my best. So how can you do and be your best self if you're not given that chance?
I didn't have any older brothers, so I really don't know what this is like. But I do know that my youngest son loved wearing anything that he could finally fit into that was my oldest son's.
Okay.
Like if he had sweatshirts or like kind of like.
But not if they had stains on them, right?
No.
Like,
and I think, I mean, my wife and I were lucky enough to be in a situation where, you'd buy your kids something, and if it wasn't wrecked, we'd put it in a Tupperware when the older one got up there. But we gave a lot of like our youngest, who's 17 now, like his stuff when he grew out of it. We gave a lot of that stuff to my nephew, and he didn't ever seem to mind it. He loved it because it was, it was Under Armour, or it was, it had something baseball or hockey or something on it.
All I'm saying is go through item by item and make sure that what you're giving the next person is something that they're worthy of wearing. Like they're going to feel good walking out in it. There's no stains. There's no like loose bacon neck
Sometimes
t-shirts.
you're just in a spot where you can't do more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But listen, I've been very vocal about where I've always gotten Liam's clothes since he's been born. I go to Once Upon a Child. I go to other consignment shops because we spend money in different areas. Like we'll get him a few new, brand new kicks that he likes. That's important to him. He doesn't care where his Under Armour shirts come from or his Nike shirts, but it's just, you can save a penny and still outfit your children and make them feel good.
I want to go hunting real quick to see who got the furthest in life without getting new stuff. Because I mean, I don't know why it's such a flex for parents to be able to go buy $250 worth of new clothes for their kids. Because first off, they're going to wreck it. And number two, they're never going to appreciate it.
Right.
But who went the longest with hand-me-downs? I had my best friend in high school. He had two older brothers. And he had no problem wearing this stuff. He'd be like, oh, yeah, these are Brian's jeans.
And some people, that's fine. But like I'm saying, if they don't fit right, it's going to do something to your psyche. It's like, am I not good enough to have my own? My older brother just got brand new stuff for the school year. I don't get any.
This morning, talking about hand-me-downs based off this email we got from Carolyn. And you didn't have really a whole bunch of hand-me-downs. And it's not like you guys needed it. You were pretty wealthy. But like if you were in a situation where you didn't have a whole lot of money, how long did you go before you got like new clothes of your own?
I'd get my new clothes like in the fall, and then at the beginning of summer, and then at the beginning of winter, and then at the beginning of spring.
Jesus. Just another reason for me to dislike you.
They grow really fast. But also, I just thought of this, is that every child in the family has their own personality, their own identity. So if you have to take on the identity of your 4 older siblings and they're nothing like you, you're like, what if I want to wear all black? What if I want to wear all pink? And I have all brothers. Like, that's not fair to somebody.
And hand-me-downs don't always come necessarily from your siblings. They can come from garage sales. My favorite story, I tell this all the time because I laugh so hard, but we've got a guy we work with. His name is Pat. And his mom had got him school clothes. I said, Pat, I'm going to go out and get you school clothes. And she came home, and he's got all his new school clothes ready to wear the first week. And he's sitting in like English class, 7th grade. And he's sitting there, and the kid behind him goes, Hey, Pat, that's my shirt. And he goes, oh, you have one just like it? He goes, no. Your mom bought that at my mom's garage sale. And he flipped the tag on the back of it and said, look, and it's got his name on there. It says like Brian. And he was mortified by it. And I mean, he was telling me this is like a 50-year-old man.
It sticks with you.
You can tell there's some heavy trauma with that.
Derek's mom went to a garage sale and bought him what she thought were guy jeans. And they were girl jeans. They were the Lees. And like he went to school and somebody called him out on it, and he will wake up from a dead sleep, just sweat jeans, Lee jeans, girl, Lee jeans. And I'm like, it can stick with somebody well throughout their adulthood.
Hey, Danny, I appreciate you chiming in on this. How old were you by the way, before you got like your own new clothes?
19.
You were 19 before you had your own new clothes.
Yeah, well, I had 6 older brothers, and everything was just passed down on to me. So it was more like I was just reusing my siblings' old clothes. But the first thing I bought was a T-shirt in this bookstore. I think it was Barnes and Nobles. I don't even remember. But yeah, it was. I was 19.
That's got to be rough, I mean, those are really weird years too, because everyone judges you, especially through junior high and high school, of like, what you're wearing, and you were just wearing your brother Peter's old shirt.
But how would anybody know?
Yeah.
As long as it fits you okay. I don't have any problem with hand-me-downs, but I did have some friends in school that they got hand-me-downs and they had like floodwater pants, and I'm like, you got to be a conscious parent. And I know that parents try to save money in this climate today, but I mean, if you're going to go to a secondhand store or something like that, you have to get clothes that at least fit them. Did your clothes fit you?
Yeah. Well, I think people at school definitely knew with me because I was definitely wearing the same shirt for about a week.
That's breaking my heart, man.
But yeah, I honestly felt guilty kind of wearing their clothes if they ever wanted them back, But it's whatever. Siblings are siblings.
Siblings are siblings. I don't remember the last time I had a bad dining experience where something made me be like, I'm never going back to this place. Like sometimes you just don't prefer the food, but I've never had one of these experiences, or at least in the last few years that I can remember. So I appreciate Brandy. We saw your text. I want to bring you on the show here real quick. You want to tell everybody what happened to you?
My husband and I went to dinner.
Okay.
And we paid in cash, and my husband's trying to figure out like how much to tip and what he's just figuring out the amount. Mm-hmm. So he put the cash on the table, and he's looking at his phone at the calculator thing, and he's figuring out percent. And she wasn't even that good at her job, and we didn't really have the best experience, but it was fine. And then our server kind of came by, just grabbed the whole wad of cash and just kept walking kind of, really fast. And then we said, oh, that wasn't our intent. And we tried to get, we weren't going to tip her $20 on our tiny bill. And so, but she took the whole 20, and then her manager backed her up and said, once the tip is on the table, that's it.
That's a thing?
I've never heard of that in my life.
I've never heard of that either. Is that a thing? Once the cash is on the table?
No. Once you take the little folder back with you, whatever's in there is yours. Or when they leave and the cash is still on the table, that's yours. I don't think I'd ever walk past somebody and then not say, like, do you need change? That's normally what they say, right?
That's a pretty slick move. You're probably going to make a lot more tips if you get good at that.
Yeah, but are you going to have people come back? I would not feel like I would want to go back.
Well, we're not going to go back there. No.
And I'm going to put you on hold for a second because I want to get what other people think about this on the air. That is very, very shisty, isn't it?
Yeah, I would assume my automatic response would be, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I thought, let me get you actual change back. I would always also wait for everybody to be gone out the door before I even go and look what my tip would be. So
that is a weird and uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
Unless you're a big roller, we've had times where my wife and I had been out and we've had a great time, or we had friends join us, and I left a great tip because they were really, really good. Mm-hmm. Then sometimes you want them to see it. You know what I mean? You're like, look at me, I'm tipping you big time.
Those machines that they bring over some places, like like
Applebee's does it, don't they? Where they put the machine in front of you and you got to sign.
You can pay at your table, and then you can also do that at Olive Garden. But when they come up with the machine and then they turn their head this way, not to watch you.
They're going to not know 30 seconds later how much you tipped them. What does it matter if they're watching you?
I know.